David Cedars on the front row of the grid. Craig Donis and the championship leader Nathan Pretty in the Monster Commodore starts from the second row. Ryle Harris, Grant Johnson making his first appearance of the year is on the next row. Then Cam McConville will cover off a little bit of update for the Bundaberg Commodore driver. He's got some points back after an exclusion from Adelaide that's lifted him back into the top 10. How's the red wheels on Craig Donis's thing?
Yeah, it's you can see it from the commentary box pretty easily. It's interesting.
Green flag at the back, there's Noel Edge in the number 2 ute, full field. 32 utes are here in the West this weekend. It's round 3 of the championship. Honours have been evenly shared between Ford and Holden. Kim Jane and David Cedars to square off to turn 1. And Cedars has comfortably got the jump. He'll pull across and have the lead at turn 1. Are we going to get through? Ben Cavic side by side with Glenn McNally. This is with Ben Dunn, new backing from Sporting Bet, and has picked up the new FG Falcon this weekend. This is wild. There's Chris Walton, winner on the streets of Adelaide in that Rentco Ford, and he's second in the points behind Nathan Pretty. But David Cedars has got the jump.
Yeah, well, actually, Kim Jane got a shocker. I looked out the commentary box. He was going nowhere, and he's recovered well because he's back in the second. I think he was going to drop to 4th there for a second.
Down the bowl, turn 6. This is Ryle Harris there nibbling away at the back of Reece McNally in the Stratco Commodore, on board with Andrew Fisher. I think that's Rick Gill who's got by. He's one of the locals, 61 years young, and carving it up with the young guys, really pushing through. But Kim Jane back to the lead, but you've got to go on the wet part of the track here, Nick, to get it done at 7.
Yeah, he's done well to pull it up there. The utes are very hard to stop. Cam McConville tells me all about it, and he's done well to stop it on the wet line there, and he's going to drag race him up into turn 1, and Mr. Pretty's involved too. Yeah,
he's latching onto the back of Kim Jane. He won't quite get down the inside at turn 1. Nathan won the round at Symonds Plains in Tasmania. Now he's got in the gap. This will be side by side on the exit of 1. Which car do you want to be in here? I reckon the Commodore's well placed, but inside is the next one, and Cedars, has he got his nose in far enough? He will. Bit of a rub. It's a ute thing.
It's normal. It's normal.
Oh, Pretty's out wide here, but he'll have the inside for the next one. On board with Craig Donis, Thirsty Camel Commodore.
And you can hear the wheel spin. You can see how much wheel work's going in up over the hill into 5. So he's done well.
And he was trying to cover turn 6 because Grant Johnson, the former champ who has won the 2 previous rounds that we've had here at Barbagallo, hasn't raced all year. He's been out of the series. He's made his first start this weekend. He carved his way through. And look at them all lined up here. Reece McNally, Ryle Harris, Chris Walton with a little bit of damage. Cam McConville keeping a watching brief. 3 wide. Can't watch. This is never good.
And you can hear the tyres squealing under brakes. The utes are always putting on a good show, and of course rubbing panels. It's sparks even.
It's just standard. It's normal. Look at this. Walton's trying to cover, but McNally has his nose down the inside. He'll hang on. Andrew Fisher's there. Rick Gill's there. Everyone's there. Gary Baxter as well. We're back on board with Ben Dunn. 13th spot. And he doesn't have to look far in front. He can still see the leaders.
Yeah, it's very close. Kim Jane's really the only one driving away at the moment. He's opened up a bit of a gap, but the rest it is on for young and old, and you just want to stay on the dry line in this situation.
And remember too, the ute doesn't run a slick tyre. They run a grooved Yokohama tyre, so it's a bit of an all-rounder for wet and for dry. That's Fonzie Mullen in the 20 car. He started from pit lane, so he's just trying to get out of the way, and it's probably the best move with some of this stuff going on at turn 6.
Oh, who we got here? Is that Baxter? He's getting a little rub from the number 10. I'm not sure who that is.
That's Glenn McNally down the inside there.
Another McNally?
Yeah, well, there's about 43 of them in this one. Braking duel, final turn. That's Grant Johnson trying to wrap it up. Nathan Pretty and Cedars. Will they make the turn? Cedars won't. Can he get it through the sand? Keep going, nah, gone, done. He's toast. He's nicknamed Sideways. He probably should have gone in sideways.
Yeah, you see him actually. I think he plucked another gear once he hit the dirt, trying to get the car through. But Nathan and Cedars were side by side. It seems like for a few laps there, so they've had a pretty big battle, and it hasn't ended so well.
And he's sitting there watching the field go by. Safety car's being called. It was a battle of the brakes. Pretty had the inside line. Auto 1 replay. They went in deep. They went in really deep, and Cedars locks the right front. And the IC Ford is off the road. Lap 4 under safety car. 4 from Perth. Just a sec. Back racing again. here in the West with the V8 Utes. Race 1, round 3 of the Auto 1 V8 Ute Series. Kim Jane leads the way. It's a Holden benefit at the moment. Championship leader Nathan Pretty is second. Donis is third. And Ryle Harris, the best of the Fords, in fourth spot. Ben Dunn here, we ride on board with. He's eighth in this brand new FG Ford, and he's on his way forward. He's got by Cam McConville. He's got by Andrew Fisher. Just love hearing that new Coyote-powered FG. How are you about that, Holden Manning Perker?
Oh, it sounded fantastic, but prefer the sound of Mr. McConville's.
I thought you'd say that. Car in the gravel down at turn 6, or not gravel, I should say sand. We are in the West. That's Fonzie Mullen, who has run off the road. Looking back at McConville, actually, we should point out that he's got back 40 points that he lost as part of a penalty from the first round in Adelaide, which related to a wheelbase irregularity. Has McNally up and over the curb, so he's got those back. That's put him back up into the top 10 in the points, and obviously closed him to get back in the game for the championship.
Yeah, so they've obviously had an infringement in Adelaide. They've appealed it. Oh, we've got a replay.
This is Fonzie Mullen. This is how he got there in the Ramjet Commodore. Auto 1 replay, and once you get in that far, you're not coming out. So a local yellow on display down there. We're looking back from Kim Jane. Century Batteries in car. Nathan Pretty is there. You can't see him at the moment, but I assure you he is right behind. There he is. Monster Commodore closing in, and this weekend actually too, watching these cars on the road, they look a little nicer, and that's why they've got a new control suspension supply. The guys from DMS in Albury, they've done 6 months work. Now they've got 5-way adjustable shocks in these things. They've got Motec data. Who would have ever thought you'd have a racing ute with that much technology in it?
They don't know themselves, to be honest. They've got adjustable shock absorbers. It's where it's at. So it's obviously working well. We can see the car's handling much better. And
uh-oh, Ben Dunn's off. Is there anyone else? He's got it running again. But there goes the top 10 for him. He's now 11th and probably 12th with Baxter about to sneak down the inside.
Tricky conditions, though. It's still a little bit damp. You can see when they get offline, they're full sideways and just hanging out the rear tray.
This looks a little more terminal. Sounds terminal as well. It's so strange conditions, Nick. Sometimes you'd rather just give me full dry or give me full wet. Anything in between gets really tricky.
It does, and especially in Barbagallo, this track does not have a massive amount of grip as it is, and to come here in the wet, it makes it much harder. Now they've got the best of both worlds, so we actually see Nate's doing a really good job at the moment, and he's got a bit of a buffer over second in the championship with Walton back in as he's 6th there, so he can play this smart and get a real gain here.
No real surprise that Jane, Pretty and Dontis are all part of the same setup. They're all running Commodores. They're all pretty quick, based in Melbourne. There is Ryle Harris. He's 4th and the fastest man on the road. This is the Ben Dunn scenario, and I'm even more confused now that I've seen that than I was before. Here we go. Reece McNally to the right.
This looks dangerous.
Has a quick look. Is he trying to sneak across?
It's an interesting way of coming into the final corner.
Backwards. Different. I wouldn't recommend it.
No, I'm not sure why that's broken the car, unless obviously we're not seeing the whole from the outside shot, but it's interesting that he's limping around now.
That's a real shame. He was rolling really nicely, but he's coming to a stop. Kim Jane and Nathan Pretty going at it out front. Donis 3rd, Harris, Johnson, Walton, McNally, Fisher, McConville, Rick Gill, Gary Baxter, and there's Dunn. He has made it back to pit lane. The support category is using the old pit lane on the outside of pit straight. Just quickly too, we'll see you in action tomorrow in the Dunlop Series in our telecast. We've already had a race in the Coates High Commodore. It's been tricky with the weather. You just don't know what you're going to get. It
has been all weekend. We've had, I think it was half dry, half wet practice 1, wet practice 2, dry qualifying, wet race 1. So who knows what tomorrow will hold.
It's a lucky dip, isn't it? We'll be bringing you the 3rd and final race in the Dunlop Series tomorrow, as well as the Porsche Carrera Cup. But for the moment, the Utes are getting stuck into it. That's Jesse Dixon up outside in the blue Ice Break Coffee Commodore. McConville and McNally arguing over 7th. And this is where it gets just a little bit interesting. Turn 1 trying to cover and getting a helping hand from Glenn McNally.
Yeah, a little bit of Morse code on the rear bar there, but it's extremely competitive. The first 5 guys in this field are doing the same lap time. the Ute categories stepped up a lot, and to see guys matching each other every lap, it's pretty impressive.
Jake McNally there in the 92 Commodore with the fluoro, and we joked about the McNallys and how there's 3 in the race. Mark McNally, the other brother who used to race in the V8 Supercar Series and in the Dunlop Series, he's on Jake's headset, so it's almost like Formula McNally. There's a class within a class here this weekend. But talking of classes, these guys, Jane and Pretty, class of their own.
They are really driving it quite well. They've just extremely consistent. Like Harris just did the fastest last lap, but these two are just driving off into the distance by doing the same lap over and over again. So it's a good showing, and good for Kim, really, let's be honest.
And he's 6th in the championship coming into this weekend. Of course, remember too, the Utes get points for qualifying, so they've already added to their tally before we even started this race. These two have got it under control. They're the only guys last time around in the 1 minute 7 second bracket. They've really pulled clear. There's been a lot of chat about the parity in this series because the new FG Falcons come online. They've made a couple of small tweaks, and it looks like they've got the formula right. This is not so much a Holden dominant thing in this race, it's a team dominant thing.
Yeah, all 3 cars are extremely good as Nate closes right up on the back of Kim. He's nearly pushing him out of the second to last corner, so he might have a go under brakes. We saw he was quite good into the final corner earlier at the expense of someone else, but he got it pulled up.
The Tassie round winner locked in, looking, probing, just showing the nose, seeing what he can do. But Kim has been around, of course, a former NASCAR champ. He's a long-time Ute racer. He's supported this category for so many years. He's never won it, though. He's on his final lap now. They've got the pace. They're clear of Donis. Harris next, then a big gap back to Chris Walton. So in championship terms for Pretty, finishing second's not so bad. Grant Johnson, the former series champ, coming back to the category. Left rear is gone, and so is a good result.
Yeah, it's a real shame. He normally goes really well here. We were just talking before that every time they come to Barbagallo, you expect him to be challenging for a race win, but it's not been the weekend he would have liked.
On the run home, over the crest and dropping down to turn 6. And it has dried. There's a noticeable dry line later in this race, but as I mentioned before, with the way that these tyres are, the Ute boys doesn't really worry them about pitting or not pitting. They're not on a slick and have to have a wet. They've got a bit of a compromise on their car the whole time.
Yeah, they just get in and absolutely drive the absolute ring out of the thing. It's a great category, and Nathan's hung on here on the last lap, but I think Kim was stronger the whole lap until the second to last corner, and that's why Nathan can't really do anything about it.
No, he won't. Kim Jane converts. Anytime you can get pole is a good thing. Anytime you can turn it into a race win is even better. And Kim Jane picks up race 1 in round 3 of the Auto 1 V8 Ute Series, protected by Armorall. But just because he's won doesn't mean that it's over for the rest of them. Danny Bazadzik fighting here with McNally. That's Glenn McNally, I should say. 13th on the line. They're going at it like it's a world championship. Up over the curve on the exit. That'll hurt. But Bazadzik gets home. 12th spot in that new FG Falcon. Jesse Dixon up in front, went from 20th and finished 11th. Great job from the youngster. And there's Peter Burnett, P21 in that Rexall Ford. So, as always, the Ute boys turning it on. And I probably thought a few more would find the sand somewhere in there.
That was surprising. They all drove very well. The start conditions were very hard. You saw him sliding around, but Kim did an awesome job. He was the quickest straight away, and he maintained it, and it's congratulations to him. He's had a good race. Fastest
lap of the race did go to Ryle Harris, who finished back in 4th spot. Chris Walton, the winner in Adelaide, finishes 5th. Cam McConville is next from Reece McNally. So Reece wins the battle of the brothers. He's 7th overall. Rick Gill, great job in 8th. Gary Baxter is 9th, and Ben Cavich, the workhorse Falcon, rounded out to 10. He started from 18th, so there were plenty of guys who made really great moves. Adam Majoram is the Auto 1 wildcard this weekend, the young Perth uni student who has been racing Porsches and saloon cars and the like. He finished in 14th. Peter Burnett 21st from Noel Edge. Haley Swanson started down the back, but finished 24th. Bad luck for Grant Johnson, bad luck for Andrew Fisher. David Cedars and Ben Dunn had shockers as well. So it was a real Holden race in race 1.